Here. So welcome to Yoga Talks. I see Ruth and Barbara and Amal. Thank you guys for being here. I wanted to talk today about, I don't know, like I have a love-hate relationship with this pose, crow pose. So it's an arm balance. It requires a lot of strength. And you know, we've been doing that 30-day core challenge. I don't know if you've been doing those exercises on a regular basis, but having a stronger sense from your core is going to help you balance in this pose. So the Sanskrit name is Bakasana, which actually means crane. So like the first variation is crane pose. The second variation is crow pose. And what is the difference between crane and crow? It's where your knees are located on your arms. So the crow variation, which is Kakasana, is a lot more accessible and available because the elbows are bent. When you start to go into Bakasana, that's that straight arm variation. So it requires a lot of flexibility in your hips and strength in your arms. But I wanted to break down the benefits of our crow pose. It strengthens the arms. It definitely strengthens and tones the abs, and it strengthens the wrist as well. So if you have any wrist sensitivities, spending a lot of time in this pose is going to put a lot of pressure on your wrist. So it's important to take those breaks to really be mindful of your wrist. Our crow pose will also really work on your balance, your strength, and your flexibility all at the same time. So what comes to be really important is to find a steadiness in your breath, a steadiness in your gaze, and also lighting up your bandhas. So you're going to really feel this pose from the inside out. So the best way to learn crow is when you're not so much worried about falling on your face. So we'll begin today on our backs. So you're just going to go onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. So we'll do this together. And just take a moment here, just showing up for yourself today and being okay with this pose wherever it lands. I think I talked about this last week, but if you're coming in just in this demo part of the practice, your body's coming in cold. It's not likely prepped. So the knees come apart. So the big toes touch, your knees are apart, and then you'll bring your arms just inside the legs. You flex the wrists so your palms face the ceiling. And maybe already you feel some heat, big toes touching, the legs press into the arms press into the legs. You can lift your head up and maybe even lift that tailbone up and off the floor. And just take a couple of breaths here, feeling the heat, pulling the belly in, pulling the knees in, squeezing the heels down, and then rest. So let's just bring the feet to the floor, open the arms like a T, and windshield wiper your knees from side to side. So take a little counter pose here. So you can get all of the elements of crow pose just by being on your back. We're going to try that one more time and just really thinking about all the little pieces. So there's a lot going on. You first start by bringing the knees to the chest and the big toes touch. Now opening the knees apart and then take the arms through the inner legs. Palms face up, squeeze the arms and the legs together, squeeze the heels down towards the glutes, lift your head, lift your tailbone, pull your belly in, and you want to really feel like a lift up from the pelvic floor and pulling that belly button towards the spine. And go ahead and rest and come back into that windshield wiper. Excellent. Good. Roll to your side, come to all fours. So I'm going to do this sideways for you. So you're on all fours. A couple of things. You want to spread your fingers. So your hands are like starfish. They're about shoulder distance apart. So you're pressing your hands into the mat, especially the upper knuckles and the inner edges of your hands. The arms are firm. The toes tuck under, and then you're tucking your tailbone under, but you're looking slightly out in front of you. Your head stays lifted as you lift your knees. So you want to pull the belly in, the pelvic floor pulls in and up, the navel pulls to the spine. You're tucking your tailbone under like a scared cat. Good, and then just go ahead and rest, and then we'll stretch out the wrist. So just take that little wrist stretch. So there's a lot of ways that you can access crow. The most accessible is coming in from a squat. Now you might put a pillow, if you have a pillow in your house, you might put a pillow out in front of you. If you have a block, you can always use a block, like a step under your feet. So we're gonna come into a squatting position, so moving from a standing position. I'll do it again sideways so it's easier for you to see. And then you bring your hands down to the floor. So your hands come down to the floor. And you're spreading your fingers here. You're bending your elbows. So bending the elbows makes this so much more accessible. The tailbone tucks, and then you bring your knees to your upper arms, as high up as you can go. Your head stays lifted. You're looking forward, and then you start to shift forward and back. You come high onto your toes. And as you shift forward, you might pick one foot up off the floor, just a little bit, and then the other. Good, and then just go back into your standing position and rest. So these are all steps to get you into your crow pose. So we'll do that one more time. If you like to have your pillow in front of you, you can even this time, if you like, use your block like a step. So we're coming down into the squat. You're bending your elbows. You can bring your feet onto your block. Bring your knees into your upper arms. That stays up. And then maybe pick one or both feet up off the block. Yeah, head stays lifted. Pull the belly in. Rock forward, rock back. Excellent. And then whenever you're ready, you release it and come on into that standing position. So just come back to standing. Circle the wrists. So there's a lot of places you can go in crow to add intensity. So you can start to straighten your arms. Once you get in there, you can start to straighten your arms. You're in that balance pose. And you want to hold, if you can, for 3 to 5 breaths before you release it, just to really get deep, deep into the balance, into the strength, into the core. Do you guys want to try it one more time?
Yes.
Okay, I definitely think we should do that. So coming down into that deep squat, planting your hands, spreading your fingers, bringing the knees into position. The tailbone tucks, your belly pulls in, the pelvic floor pulls up. And then maybe your feet, one foot can lift, both feet can lift. See how it feels to light that fire. And you don't want to moisturize your arms before. So just a little professional tip. Excellent. And then whenever you're ready, you'll come back up into that standing position. We'll take a counter pose for the wrist. So feet a little wider than the hips. Fold in half and slide your hands palms up under your feet. Press the toes into your wrists. Let your head drop. Take a deep breath out and let everything go. That's a heck of a way to just roll out your mat and just go into crow pose. And breathe out. Good job, everyone. Nice. All right, come up when you're ready. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Anybody have any questions about crow or crane pose?
It's a challenge.
Challenge. So there's a couple of,
I don't know. Can you see this? I don't know. Can you see this? This big bruise?
oh my goodness.
That's me working on crow last week.
Oh my goodness. So was that your arm? Your elbow pressing in?
On the upper part of my arm. It's like, I don't know if my knees are too bony or what's happening.
Lucky you.
So you
Yeah, but I've had that, but anyway, yeah, my question is, that's so funny though, that we're doing this today. My question is, I feel like I get there, I move into it and I can lift my feet up and then I just don't have, maybe it's the bandhas. I don't feel like I have anything to hang on to, if that makes any sense.
Yes, I hear you. So there are two, I think, really, really important things when we're working in an arm balance like this. And one is, and I talk about this all the time because I think it's really, it can be an aha moment. But what we're trying to do is this lower part of your body is the heavier part of your body, and you're trying to lift that up off the floor on this lighter part of your body, right? You don't have as much bulk here. So the only way to get this part of your body up in the pose is to really shift forward. So you have to lean and bring those shoulders out past the fingertips. So I'll just show you one here. So if I'm just here, my shoulders are right here behind the hands. There is no way I'm going to be able to sustain getting up here.
Yeah.
But if I bring my head forward way out, you can see automatically the legs are starting to lift because I'm bringing more weight out in front.
Yeah.
So it's like your fulcrum point on a scale.
Yeah.
So if you start to bring more out in front of you, your hips, right, these are your hips, are going to lift up a little bit more. So it will require a lot less muscling once you start to feel that. The problem with that, or, it's just like to get into your head is like, I have to bring my head out there forward and closer to the ground. It's almost like you feel like you need a crash helmet, right? Because it's like the more you move out there, the more afraid you are of falling forward and out of the pose. And then there's and there's always that tuck and roll. So I always joke about my husband and I, where we like to bike and everything, and he's had a few like little road incidents. And he's like, I do so well because I know how to fall. I could tuck and roll. I could, so it's that you could do a somersault, if you feel yourself falling. Mm-hmm. The other thing too is just the strength in your hands. So distributing the weight with fingers spread. The upper knuckles become the brake. So squeezing the upper knuckles down is going to stop you from crashing forward, if that makes sense. And then we can play a little bit in that pose today.